Hello guys, welcome back. In this session, I am going to discuss with you about the value operator. So this value operator comes with ABAP 7.4. Okay, so without wasting time, let's get started. I'll declare my types. Okay, the type of the structure, I'll just try to declare it as ty_1. Okay, I'll provide two entries as name and also the role. Okay, let us take the example of an employee in a company wherein he has a name, or they have a name and a role, okay, associated. So what I would do is I am going to make use of the value operator. So how do I do that? So the first example is with the structure. How do I use the value operator with the structure? But the main main use of this operator comes with the use when we use this internal tables. Okay, so this topic I would tell you is very important. This value operator is very important as far as an ABAPer is concerned. It's only because this value operator has so much of importance in creating in the creation of internal tables, and also kind of how you can read entries from the table and all that. So this is how you must update, is what I'll tell you. If you haven't used this value operator before, I would strongly recommend that you try it out. If you're working in projects, it's a strong recommendation that you try it out with this value operator. If you have to create some entries for your internal tables. Okay, so first I'll start with the structure. Okay, so I have declared a type as of type ty_1. Okay, now what I'll do is I will do an inline declaration. Okay, I'll say wa1. Okay, so I'm going to create a structure out of this type. Okay, I will say value. Okay, and then I'll provide the type. Okay, what should be the type of the work area? What is the structure of the work area? I'm going to define it explicitly here as ty_1, and then begin the brackets. Okay, within the brackets I will provide the name, maybe equal to Suraj, and role as ABAP. Okay, so this is how I can declare a work area or any structure in your program. If you're creating a local work area or any kind of structure for that matter, you can make use of the types. Okay, the structure type, and then you can define the name and the associated fields. Okay, you can define it like this. Okay, make sure you have the brackets here, and also you have to provide this type which you have declared it already. Okay, so this is how you can define or provide value. That is the important. As I already told you, this is used for the creation part. Okay, main use is for the creation. So as far as a work area or a structure is concerned, you can create a structure with this keyword value. Okay, and also you have to provide the types and then the inline declaration. So at runtime, this will hold, the wa1 will hold of the structure of the type ty_1. Okay, with these values. So you are providing values to this work area, and what I'll do now is I will try to print this out. Okay, so I'll try to print this out using the CL demo class. Okay, please do not use this for the production system and all. It is only for demo purpose. You must use this. Okay, just to see if you're, otherwise you can go to the debugger and you can just find out, right? Okay, CL demo. Okay, it's the display method. Okay, use the display method. Okay, now you can use the CL demo output class to display, this whatever content you want to display. You can place it inside this. Okay, so I'll place the work area inside this. Okay, so that if you do, please do not use this class in the production programs, because this is only for demo purpose. You can just make use of this so that you can display without going to the debugger. You can see the contents, right? So for that purpose, we are using this class mainly. Okay, it's CL demo output. Check it, activate, execute. So you can see Suraj and ABAP coming up. Okay, so that is based on this structure. We have defined the entries here. Okay, we have given values for the fields, individual fields here within using the value keyword. Now there is a second variation for this statement. Okay, so for that, what we have to do is, I'll declare the work area first itself. Okay, I'll declare the structure first itself using the types. Okay, so I have defined the work area here. Now what I'll do is, I'll remove this data, because with data I have already declared WA1, right? Okay, so I don't need that data part here now. And instead of this ty_1, I'll put it as hash. Okay, why am I doing this? Because already this is defined of type is what? ty_1, right? So this is already defined of type 1. So why do I need to explicitly mention it again? Let us see what will happen if I give it as like this. It will still take it. Okay, and there is no problem with that. But this is a standard way which we can make use of, because you have already defined it here. So hash, make sure at runtime it will check for WA1 what is the type of it, and in turn this hash will be replaced by this ty_1. Okay, so let us check the syntax. Syntactically correct, activate. So it's the same output which you'll be getting, because I've not done anything different, just that I have interchanged this the type, okay, the structure with this hash here. Okay, so the types has been the type of the type of this work area has been defined with hash now. Okay, so this is about the structure. With structure you can do certain things like this. Okay, and also there is one more thing which I would like to show you. Maybe work area 2. Okay, I have a work area 2. What I'll do is, I'll make use of this work area structure. Okay, for that I'll say base WA1. Okay, and I'll provide name equal to Sachin maybe, and role equal to ABAP. Okay, so let us try to print what is WA2. Check the syntax. Okay, I have to define it like this, right? Because I have not defined it explicitly like this, right? So I have to make use of the inline declaration. Check the syntax, activate. So now I am going to check what is there in. So you can see Sachin and ABAP is coming up. How did it come up? I have not declared any types here, right? For WA2, I have not declared types as ty_1, but instead I have put the base as WA1. So that means it is going to check for what is the base. What is the base of WA1 is? It's of type ty_1. So this hash will at the runtime will be replaced by this ty_1, and WA2 accordingly the name and role will be replaced. Okay. So if suppose if you don't want I'll just omit this role part here now. Now let's see what let me check this, activate. So let's see what is the output. So you can see Sachin and ABAP is still coming up. Why? Because it has taken the value from this WA1, because I provided that as the base. So base I'm taking as WA1. Okay, this means I'm taking base as WA1. So it will contain Suraj and ABAP, but the name I'm going to replace Suraj with Sachin. That's what I'm telling here, and I'm going to put it under WA2 work area. Okay, so that is how this is being designed. Okay, this is being created. This work area is getting generated based on this. Okay, so that's it about this structure part. So let me dive into this internal table part. Okay, so now what I'll do is, for internal tables, I'll just start with types, table type first. Okay, I'll say tt_st1 type table of ty_1. Okay, so I'm going to define a table type. So let us start from the beginning with the same approach which we followed for the structure. Okay, so I will say I'll just remove this for the time being. and I'll place the inline declaration because I've not declared it explicitly here somewhere, right? So that's why I'm doing it like this. I'll say data itab1 equal to value tt underscore st1. So that becomes a, what is that? It's a table type, right? So the name is Suraj and the role is ABAP. So I'll just replace this also here with itab1. And I will check the syntax now once. You will see that there is ty underscore 1. Okay. And there will be a syntax error now. You can see. Okay. I think I check the syntax. Okay, so now you can see that the tt underscore st1 cannot be constructed. It's saying the value for this tt underscore st1. Why? Because it is expecting a key here. Okay, so I can either put the empty key or I can also put the default key. Okay, I'll put the empty key now, and if I check the syntax again, I'll get an error. Okay, why? Because it's expecting some brackets here. Okay, I have provided only one bracket. It's an internal table, right? So you'll find multiple rows. So in the case of a structure, you just need only these two brackets, right? And in case of internal table, you'll find multiple values, multiple rows. For each of the row, you have to put it under brackets like this. Okay, so this will be the first row, and this will be the second row. This the third row. So you can construct it like this. Okay, fourth row. I'll give it as something like Sam, Java, John, Python, and James as ABAP. Okay, so let me check the syntax now. Activate. So you can see multiple rows getting added up. The reason is because I provided multiple values inside this. For the same name and role combination, I have given multiple values inside within this brackets here. Okay, and it is taking the type of tt underscore st1 with the value operator. Okay, and now I'll just repeat the same. I'll just try to give default key here. Let's see what will happen. So you're going to get the same output, right? So it's the same output with the default. So if you're using table type, you have to either provide some keys for that, okay, like the default key or the empty key. So most people might not use this. They might directly directly create this itab1 here first, and they'll say table of ty underscore 1. Okay, the usual way which we use earlier, we used to declare it like this, right? So now the data part is not required because the data has already been defined, right? So I don't need inline declaration now. So I type 1 and I will replace this tt underscore st1 with hash. Okay, check the syntax, activate the program, execute, it'll find this. Okay, so this is a better approach which is better, I believe, but it depends on your the project requirement or the kind of scenario of working with. So it depends on which kind, but this is a better approach is what I believe. And now if I want to add one more row to this, what I can do is I can I'll say append value. Okay, and again with value you can either provide hash or the table type, but here I'm providing value, and then I'll say name equal to Rahul. Okay, and the role I'll give it as ABAP. Okay, so this is how you can add a particular value to an internal table. Check the syntax. Okay, so I have not mentioned the table name here, so I have to provide the table name as well, to which this is getting appended is what I'm saying here. So this value, okay, so this is of the same type, right? So I'm going to append that value to itab1, okay, because it has the same structure, right? So obviously it will take the value. Check the syntax, activate, execute, you will find Rahul and ABAP coming up here. Okay, Now, like how what I have shown you for the structure part, the same thing is applicable for this internal table as well. So that is using the base keyword. So I can say if I want to add multiple rows to this same itab1, I can make use of the base keyword. I'll say hash. I'll say base itab1. Okay, see the same itab1 I'm going to, it's like appending. I'm going to do an appending here. Okay, if you want it to be stored to a different table, you can also do that, not a problem, but I'll show you with the same internal table first. Okay, so base itab1 means these values will be getting copied, right? So because it is itab1, I'm choosing all these values will be coming up, and then what I can do is I can say name equal to Rahul, role equal to abab, and then I can also add another value which can be name equal to Surya and role equal to Java. Check the syntax. Let me check the syntax. Syntactically correct. So I've just commented this line out. Okay, so that this value will not be here, but these two values will be stored along with this already existing 4 values. Okay, let me activate this. Check the execute. So now you can see Rahul Abab and Surya Java is coming up in the table, right? Okay, so that is about, and even for this itab, even if I want this to be put in a different internal table, I can also do that. Okay, I'll say itab2. Okay, so you can observe from here, it's itab2, it's not itab1, it's itab2, to which I'm going to add these values plus these two values. Okay, so it's very easy, right, to so you can see Rahul and Surya is getting added up into itab2. Okay, that was itab2, itab2, right? And that's about the creation part. Yeah, there are other ways also in which you can do more of things with this value keyword. But the important one which I would like to show you here is go for itab1 here now. Like the reading of this internal table. Okay. So how do you usually read an internal table is I would tell you like data. Okay. I'll say something like read equal to itab1. Maybe I want to read an entry with the name Suraj. Okay, I want to read an entry with the name Suraj and I want to place it into w_read. Okay, this is for reading an internal table. So I am going to read and I want to fetch the entries for that. Activate. Okay, there is an error. itab1 was already declared. Okay, so this one I will put it as itab2 maybe. Okay, itab1 only I will activate. Now I'm reading this w_read and I'm going to place it in w_. So what should come ideally is Suraj and Abab should be the output. Okay, I'm going to display that one, right? So yeah, Suraj and Abab is the output now. And yeah, so this is the way in which you can do this, right? But the problem here is that if I read an entry with a different name, maybe Sachin, I'll be able to activate this, execute this, but it goes for a dump because it will raise this exception called CX site itab line not found. Okay, so this is an exception which is getting raised because you're going to read an entry which does not exist in that internal table. Okay, you are basically trying to read an entry from this list. Okay, there is no such in here, so it goes for a dump. Okay, you can handle that dump using the catching that exception which was thrown. It was showing to you on the screen, right? So that exception you can catch that exception and you can handle it. That is one way. Otherwise, what you can do is, in order to overcome this, you can also make use of the value keyword. Okay, and I will say value hash. I'll enclose it with this value operator. And then what we can do is I can say this as optional. I'm going to say this Sachin. If you're not finding this Sachin entry in this list, please do not give a dump. You go give it as it should not be a dump after all. It should not be a dump, but the program should go on. Okay, the code line should continue. If it's optional, that means it basically returns you a blank work area here. Okay, so the value should be blank. Okay, let us check that first. Activate. Yeah, so you can see here for w underscore read, you find name and role as empty because you kept this as optional. So if the line is not found, it won't go for a dump, but it will give you a blank value for the work area to which it is being read to, right? And there is one more option you can use here, which would be the providing a default value. Okay, there is a default addition to this statement which you can use, and if this line is not found, that default value will get triggered. Whatever you give inside this default value will get triggered in case the line is not found. Okay, so for that, what I'll do is I will create a work area like w underscore default equal to value. I'll say hash and then name equal to maybe AA, role equal to BBB. So this is for demo purpose. Okay, so it can be different. Like your requirement might be this is like it doesn't make any sense to give names like this and roles like this, right? But in case of your actual scenario, this might prove very useful for you, because this once the line is not triggered, a default value based on your project requirement can be triggered, right? That kind of development you can do. So this I believe is very useful in case if you have such a scenario in your program or in your project, right? So what I'm saying is, if this line is not found, get this default value from w underscore def. Okay, so name and a b will be returned to this w underscore read. Okay, activate. Okay, there is some error. No type can be derived. Okay, why? Because I'm providing this as hash, right? I'm not providing any itab here. So what I'll do is I will saying, so what I can do is I can provide this type as explicitly. I can mention the type as ty underscore 1, because we are going to put it back to a structure, right? To a work area, right? So we can directly declare it like this, and then you can place, because it is not able to find what is the data type, because in these cases you have already defined it like this, right? You have already defined. Or what I can do here is I can remove this and I can say data w underscore ref type ty underscore 1. Okay, with this I don't need to use ty underscore 1. I can directly put hash. Check the syntax. Okay, this is not ref, it's def, def. Check the syntax, activate the program, and I will try to put a breakpoint, maybe. Yes. So let me show you what's happening here. In itab 1, what is w underscore diff? It has a and bbb, right? And what is there in itab 1? Suraj, Abab, James, Surya. Okay, all these values are there. So I am reading Sachin out of this. which does not exist in this itype1, right? So it is going to, what will it return? It will return AAA and BBB to W underscore read. So it is returning into W underscore read, it is returning AAA and BBB. And will say F8. So you can see A and BBB, because that value is not found. It can. So this is a very important use which you can make use of with the value keyword. Okay. So that's it about this session, guys. So if you have any concerns, please do not forget to put it in the comment section. And also, please, if you like this video, please do subscribe to my channel. Thank you.